Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 3 of Lucha Rewatch. It's episode 3 for this series, but we watched episodes 9 through 12 of Lucha Underground Season 1. And I gotta tell you, there were quite a few little bits of foreshadowing throughout these episodes, as well as just a ton of excellent wrestling. What do you think, John?
Oh, I completely agree with your assessment, partner. I noticed some lines from commentary that made my ears prick up and go, ah, so quite funny that
Specifically
they say
from
that.
Vampiro.
Specifically from Vampiro, yes. The foreshadower, I guess, of Lucha Underground. And as you said, just excellent matches and getting to revisit some classic Lucha Underground rivalries, at least for the first season. This is another stellar 4 episodes, and I just can't wait to get right into it with you.
Absolutely. So, hey, let's get right into it. Episode number 9 was what we started with in this series. And this was a really easy one on the notes because it was just Aztec Warfare. I didn't bother writing down what order people got eliminated in or anything because if you want to know that, you can go back and listen to our Aztec Warfare review, which I did actually talk about as the order happened and how people entered and how people got eliminated, and we kind of analyzed all that stuff in our original episode of Twitwell for it. But I do have 3 lines of notes here. But before I get into that, John, I do want to know what your thoughts are on this one.
I thoroughly enjoyed the match. Like you, there's really not much to say when it is just an episode built around one huge matchup because this is the crowning of the inaugural Lucha Underground champion. I will say I did enjoy the back and forth between the final three, that being Mil Muertes, Prince Puma, and Johnny Mundo. Before that, though, I don't think it was something I really gave a lot of credit to in our original review. I really enjoyed Chavo's heel work in this,
Yeah,
and I think I appreciated the comeuppance more in this match. He's using this steel chair on everybody, and yet he gets eliminated by the steel chair. It's so simple, and yet such effective storytelling. So I really appreciate that. And that chair, honestly, when you think about it, it was so integral to Chavo's early feud, with Blue Demon Jr. and then subsequently Sexy Star and Lucha Underground that it really played in a very nice way to his elimination and everything. So I really appreciated that touch. And yeah, this is just a really fun matchup. And, even to this day, despite the Johnny Mundo mark that I am and always will be, the right outcome definitely emerged from it. So yeah, thoroughly enjoyed this match.
I love just how much stems off of Chavo Guerrero in this season.
Yeah,
It's
it's
insane to think how much stuff wouldn't have happened without his influence.
crazy, right?
Yeah,
I
and,
mean,
and I mean it's one of those things where I feel like the only person that was really heavily involved on day 2 of Ultima Lucha that didn't have anything to do with Chavo at all was Prince Puma, and the only real interaction they had was the one title match that they had that ended up not really being anything.
Well, it's crazy, and that's why I'm so grateful that we're doing the rewatch, as I've said in the prior 2 episodes about other
Yeah,
circumstances, is that it really gives you a fresh set of eyes because the first time viewing, I think, oh well, Chavo, he's a pretty big player to start, but then when he does his walkout and whatever and everything, I'm like, okay, so they just kind of use Chavo to legitimize some guys, kind of make a presence, and then I really thought his stock had risen when he does the return later, which I mean that's quite a ways away even for our series, but we will get there. But when you look at it again, you realize no, he was actually a big player pretty much the whole time,
he was
save for maybe a
integral.
small
Yeah,
lull. Yeah. And it's really crazy to think in those terms because, and no disrespect to Chavo, because I've always thought he was a solid in-ring worker, but you never really look at a guy like Chavo and think that he's integral to anything. He's always the guy that's just kind of there, at least to me.
well, it's
So to
like
see
he
him get
said
this
in
kind
his sit-down interview with Vampiro. He's always the guy that the other guy goes against. He's
exactly.
always brought in to be the opponent.
Exactly. So to see him be such an impact player for the first season, and hell, there is nothing more crucial for a show than its first season. I mean, it's
Right.
sink or swim. So to put that kind of trust in Chavo, I think is a really huge deal, and he should be proud of the work that he did.
Definitely.
So
Yeah, for
yeah.
sure. That being said, thoughts on the match itself? I think you already kind of said that it was enjoyable. I have an interesting note that I did not notice in our first time listening. Matt Stryker referred to Mr. Cisco as a little cholo, and I thought that was interesting because that's actually the name that he normally goes by in the Indies.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
and I thought that it was just like a coincidence, like maybe it was just Stryker being catty, not catty, smarky, that kind of thing. And then when Bale comes out, he said, Bale is a real B-boy from the street. And of course, we all know Bale in the Indies, back when he was in PWG and stuff, he's B-boy. So Stryker kind of a little bit of a wink to people that were aware of these guys before they came to Lucha Underground.
Right.
I
And that's yeah.
yeah. And then another one that I thought was really funny. Matt Stryker mentioned um, when both of these guys were in the ring, Bale and Cortez Castro this time, that they can work together, and if they can kind of hold out long enough for Big Rick to come out, they can pretty much rest assured that Big Rick is going to win this whole thing because they're going to help him do it, right?
Right.
They got eliminated one after the other right before Big Rick comes out.
Yeah, very interesting the structure of that match. Normally when you see a match like this in other promotions, you'd give the heels that advantage, so it gives the baby faces something to battle back from. Lucha Underground pretty much throws the book out the window, says we'll let Big Rick,
In Lucha
be down
Underground, the heels are the advantage. Look at them.
exactly.
Big
And that
Rick
was
and Mil Muertes, are you kidding me?
that was a great image. Great image.
Yeah.
Really appreciated that. So yeah, man, I thoroughly enjoyed the second viewing of this matchup, just as good as the first time, if not a little bit better because of the little things that you and I picked up on. And yeah, just really enjoyable stuff all around.
And last thing here, Chavo is the trigger that sent Pentagon into his downward spiral.
Yeah, because he turned on him. Yeah,
He came out with a chair and kind of wrecked everyone, and then Pentagon was just like, yeah, we're good. We're gonna team up. We're gonna win this thing, right? And Chavo was like, yeah, man. And he turns around and then he grabs the chair and he whacks him over the head with it and pins him.
yep, just like that. And then Pentagon Jr., to your point, begins his quest for a true figure, for true leadership to take him to the promised land, if you will.
And what I
And yeah,
love too is that Pentagon missed the next episode.
yeah, selling the wounds.
Yeah,
I like
really
that.
appreciate that. But yeah, that was. I mean, Aztec Warfare was amazing. If you haven't seen it, you're missing out. If you want more kind of in-depth analysis on the match itself and some of the spots and stuff that went into it, go back and check out our Lucha Underground episode 9 review. We have Aztec Warfare in the title, and it's actually, I think it's our most viewed Lucha Underground review of all time because Aztec Warfare was just such a huge deal when it happened. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was really hyped. I loved all the emphasis put behind it. And, even looking back on it, I know you and I were probably expecting something a little different from the very first Aztec Warfare, and I know we even kind of said that in conversation. But you know what? Now that we know to anticipate this for future seasons, and we went back and watched it, I really enjoyed the mayhem of it all and the
Yeah.
calamity of it all. I think I'll enjoy Aztec Warfare 2 immensely when it comes around for season 2.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I really like that they took a good idea in the Royal Rumble, but they added a way more intense twist to it in that you can't just eliminate somebody by tossing them over the ropes like a freaking sack of potatoes. And yes, that is in reference to what Big Show and Kane did this past Royal Rumble. The the idea that you have to be pinned or submitted in order to lose, I love, and I love it even more because every now and then you get people going out of their mind and breaking up pinfalls.
yeah, it's just that instinct, thinking that, oh, first fall or the finish, but no, it's like last man standing, and I love it too because it's got more of a, dare I say, Iron Man quality to it because it's like,
Yes,
can you go to distance?
it
Can
feels
you
like
hang on?
a hybrid between a Royal Rumble and a Gauntlet match.
Yes, yes. Perfectly said. So yeah, I think Aztec Warfare 2 is going to kick ass, especially because there's going to be some differences to that than the inaugural one because new roster members and things like that. So it's going to be very interesting, man.
Absolutely. So now let's get into episode 10. Episode 10, we're kind of back to our traditional, well, nothing about Lucha Underground is traditional, but we're back to our Lucha Underground format rather than the one match show kind of episode. And we start things off with Cueto, Dario Cueto praising Phoenix, telling him that it's his destiny to be in this temple, and that tonight he's going to have a chance to live up to his name. Tells him to beat Prince Puma and embarrass Conan, and then Phoenix comes back with the I fight for myself, and Cueto's just like, look, man, I know that. That's why it's going to be for the Lucha Underground Championship. And Phoenix is just down and he's into it now.
Yeah, I love that Phoenix, he stood up to the boss, maintaining that babyface status. But then Cueto, he sweetens the deal a little bit. That's what makes Cueto such a great figure, is whether you're babyface or heel, inevitably you're gonna do what the guy wants.
Dude, it's so funny because everyone talks about how Samurai del Sol, aka Kalisto, is the next Rey Mysterio. To me, Phoenix has every single trait that you would look for in a guy to label the next Rey Mysterio.
Oh, he's one of the best luchadors going, if not the best. I mean,
Well,
I
and not
love
only is he
Phoenix's
one of the best, most entertaining guys, but the crowd is kind of split on him too, and that's kind of I feel like that's kind of how Rey Mysterio was towards the end of his WWE career. Because later on, I want to say in episode 12, yeah, in episode 12, in his match against Mil Muertes, the crowd were chanting, "Let's go Phoenix! Phoenix sucks!" So there's also that element of he's great, but he's already kind of splitting the crowd because he appeals so much to kids,
Yeah,
kind of like that Rey Mysterio. That's why I say it, man. I like he reminds me so much of Mysterio. It's crazy.
which is so funny because I mean, I guess that's a whole nother commentary for another time. But I read a great column recently about defending, children, and I guess wrestlers that really appeal to children because that's like the next generation. We were all in their shoes at one point, so to know that Phoenix brings that kind of appeal to them, I hope Lucha Underground just runs with that. And you can tell that they kind of have, given how Phoenix's season ended. But yeah, I think he's a great character, great performer.
You know what I
Uh,
think the difference is, though, John?
what's that?
Even though marketers think it's a great idea that if you want to sell something to kids, that you need to appeal to kids and kind of dumb it down and make it bright and colorful and that kind of thing, kids don't want to be pandered to. Kids don't want people to treat them like kids. Kids want to be treated like grown-ups. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
when I was 8 years old, my favorite wasn't some like bright, colorful character. My favorite was Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah, my favorite was Chris Benoit.
Well, that wasn't when you were 8 years old, but yeah, that's kind of still like the same along the same lines. And that was when you were what, like 12 maybe.
Yeah, that was like 10, 12 areas. So still very young.
Yeah, but
But
the
yeah,
idea is that we were kids, and that we weren't getting into characters just because they were specifically targeted at kids. Like if
right,
you specifically target children, you're gonna hit like the 6 and under demo.
right,
If you want the kids that can whine and complain to their parents that they want an action figure and they aren't so young that the parents can say no, 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 it says that you have to be at least this old in order to get it, then you don't want to try to go out of your way to appeal to kids because kids don't want to be treated like kids.
right.
Kids
And
want to
that's
be
just it.
told that they're a big kid. Kids want to be told, "Oh, you're a grown up. You're a big boy now." That kind of thing.
And that's just it. I feel like, and I've often said this when I've had conversations like this with other people. You look at Pixar and the movies they make. I think Up was a very intelligent kids movie. It didn't like bend down, get him an eye level, and be like, "Do you understand?" No, it just kind of did its thing, kind of like Lucha Underground with with all of its luchadors. It doesn't bother to slow down or have kiddie things. I mean, my God, in the first season we saw a monster eat a man's face,
Well, we'll get
but
to that. We will get to that.
and we will get to that. But I mean, you get my point. They're not slowing down and trying to really pander to one demo. They know what they want to be, and that's one thing I've always praised Lucha Underground for, as I know you have as well. The confidence it has in its identity. Phoenix can be a hero for kids without directly being made for kids,
Right,
and he's already been such a success at that. And you can tell his stock is only going to go up from here.
for
But
sure.
to bring it full circle, Cueto wanted that stock to start tonight. He's like,
Yeah,
you got Prince Puma, you got a shot at the championship, get it done. And Phoenix is like, I always rise to the occasion. You know I will. So
yeah.
there you go.
And then we get into an amazing four-way elimination match that debuted 4 luchadors in the same match: Aerostar, Angelico, Argenis, and Cage. Man, this was a lot of fun. I didn't remember this match being as entertaining as it was. All I remember was Cage killing everyone.
This match to me, and I felt this way the first time viewing it, and I'm happy to say that those sentiments were strongly reaffirmed upon the second viewing. This match really to me is Lucha Underground at its best.
Yeah,
Because to me, again, you had a great line earlier, Ash, when you said there's nothing traditional about Lucha Underground. Traditionally, particularly again in North American promotions, because that's what I'm most well versed in, obviously,
right.
you think, okay, well, we're gonna make one guy. We're gonna have this exhibition that makes this one guy. Hell, you even saw it in NXT Takeover Brooklyn with Apollo Crews. I mean, it really was all about him, despite the fact that the Perfect 10 Ty Dillinger did put up a game effort. But here comes Lucha Underground, and they say, well, why bother making one guy when we can make 4 guys in one match?
Or at
And
least 3, because I mean, I think everybody kind of got their shit in this match. But if you really look at just kind of the overall, Arhennis didn't get much shine in this.
He didn't get much shine in this, and really overall, he didn't get much shine the remainder of the season.
But that's my thing too, is that even if you look at the elimination order, it went in order of importance according to the way they were treated for the rest of the season, according to Lucha Underground.
Right,
The
yeah.
first guy to get eliminated, Arhennis. He didn't really do much. From what I understand, he ended up being one of the 3 disciples of death, so he does have a role.
Right.
But he had a gimmick change and he got repackaged and everything like that. The second guy eliminated was Aerostar. Now, I would consider Aerostar the ultimate mid-carder of Lucha Underground because he's a guy that I think could put on great matches with just about anybody, but I don't think he's a believable champion.
Right, I would agree with that assessment.
Well, guess what? He doesn't need to be a believable champion because he still puts on entertaining matches. He ends up having that best of 5 series with Drago, which he does lose. And then he ends up being in the Gift of the Gods match, which, again, he doesn't need to win, but he puts on entertaining matches consistently. And he got that amazing shooting star that he always does in his matches that looks so awesome. Matt Stryker called it a trust fall bomb, I think, or something like that. And yeah, it was cool. But then the third person to get eliminated, of course, it came down to Angelico and Cage. And Angelico was the third person to be eliminated. Angelico had a huge highlight throughout this season, jumping off Cueto's office a couple times. The trios match to close the season, and they held the championships for a while. And really, Angelico was the only person out of these 4 that held a championship, but Cage got more of a singles push.
Yeah, Cage did get more of a singles push. And I just got to say here, and I guess I'll expound upon it in later episodes because Cage does get featured in the remaining batch of these particular section of episodes.
Right.
Looking at everything we saw from Cage and our viewing experience of these 4 episodes, starting with his debut and ending with, well, the infamous scene where he tears his championship in half, he has got such a presence and such a great look that all I could think to myself when I'm watching Cage, whether it's the cinematic segments or just him in the ring, again, particularly in this Fatal 4-Way to keep focus here, I can't wait for this guy to have a babyface run. Because I feel like this guy as a babyface could be Lucha Underground's answer to Brock Lesnar.
Yep.
I really do. I could see him, honestly, if the Age of Death is going to run roughshod over everybody, because I don't see Puma getting the championship back. I see Mil Muertes having a, pardon the pun, but a death grip on that title. Can you imagine a babyface Cage just stepping up to Mil Muertes and saying, well, try me, try doing what you do to so many people to me, and the program you could have with that? I just, rewatching Cage again in these early episodes, because that's where he really got pushed. That's where he really got emphasized. It just made me think, damn, like, I can't wait for this guy to go babyface, because I think when he does, he'll be right back in the limelight, right back in the thick of it, because I just think this is a guy that you can't deny. You really can't. He's got a great look, a great moveset, and he's just ridiculous in there, man.
Absolutely. He's a freak.
And that's the appeal, though, because Brock Lesnar's a freak, and look at how he's doing. Now, granted, Brock Lesnar has more of the accolades both in and out of the ring than Cage does, obviously. But I feel like with the way Lucha Underground writes stories and their aesthetic and everything else, they could really do something with a babyface Cage. I mean, to be fair, maybe they could still do something with a heel Cage, but I just really want to see him just destroy everybody in like that babyface way. So we'll see. We'll see. But he's not a man. He's a machine.
Absolutely. He is awesome. And he actually just recently had a main. Well, it wasn't even the main event. It was a semi-main on Triple Mania, Triple H's kind of biggest, like their WrestleMania of the year. And he's obviously the heel because he's a gringo and this is the Mexican promotion, and he was going against Alberto El Patron. So he healed it up so much he wore a Vote Trump 2016 for President shirt.
That's amazing.
He comes out with the American flag waving, and he rocks the Trump shirt. And it was a hair versus hair match, and he lost, so he's bald now.
Well, thankfully, Lucha Underground, whether it returns in October or January or what have you, he should have his hair growing back, so he should be able to keep his logo, or if they just want to keep him off the first few episodes. But I love that,
Or if
too.
they just want to have him debut as a bald psychopath.
Maybe. I mean, it's certainly be a lot better than Marcus Louis with the same gimmick, so we'll see
Yeah,
what
well, not
happens.
even debut, I guess it would be just like a return.
Yeah, there you go, man. Maybe.
Almost even said re-debut, but no, it's pretty much just a return.
I mean, we don't like AAA crossovers into Lucha Underground, but I almost have to wonder if they'd be tempted maybe to kind of visit that territory there, Patron and Cage in Lucha Underground. because Cage at least won his match at Ultima Lucha, so you never know.
Absolutely. Did you know that he actually has a role in another series on El Rey?
No.
Yeah, I don't know if you knew about this or not, but El Rey actually has a television show based on the movie Dusk Till Dawn, or From Dusk Till Dawn,
Right?
and he's in it.
Wow.
Or at least he's going to be in it, or he was just in the first episode that was yesterday of season 2.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, so he's actually got an acting gig too.
That's insane. Good for him, though.
But
Good
I
for him.
think what's even cooler is that it's like he's keeping close relations with El Rey.
Yeah, man. Love it.
Love that. Yeah, it's like somebody that looks like him. It's shocking to me, and I know that there are these rumors that apparently the WWE released him because he failed some kind of a drug test, right?
Right.
Whether that's true or not, if the WWE would actually see him now, I can't imagine they wouldn't want to get their grubby little paws on him.
You know what? Yeah. And you know they would, because
Because
I
when
think
they did release him, he was basically built like a normal, what I would say a normal FCW wrestler looked like back then.
right.
Like you imagine somebody built like something like Dean Ambrose or like a Roman Reigns kind of build, where they're muscled up, but they're not bulky or anything like that. They're just fit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man,
That's kind of
absolutely.
where Cage was when he was working in FCW. He was Chris Logan was his name,
Okay.
and
Okay.
yeah, he wasn't anywhere close to as massive as he is now.
Well, I mean, that's great for us though, because WWE's loss is Lucha Underground's gain,
Yeah,
and clearly he's got all the pieces together. Hey, everybody makes mistakes. Hell, even Johnny Mundo, my boy, he had a wellness strike during his time when he was ECW champion.
that's
That's why he dropped the
right.
belt to
I
Punk.
forgot about that.
Yeah, when you're a Johnny Mundo fan and you obsess like I do, you never forget. But my
Yeah,
point being,
let's move on here.
yeah,
After this awesome four-way match that we talked about for probably way too long, we had the old sit-down back and forth kind of face-to-face segment between Chavo and Blue Demon Jr. Chavo's just like, I'm sorry that I didn't expose you as the fraud that you are. I'm sorry for not removing your mask and replacing it with a mask of your own blood. And then he like grabs the grass knucks and tries to throw a punch at Blue Demon, but Blue Demon ducks and takes him down and then whacks him over the head with a chair. And then it gets him again in the back. And yeah, this was a cool segment.
You know what's funny is I remember when we did the Lucha Underground review for this episode. This was actually probably the only Lucha Underground segment that I really had an out distaste for. Really didn't care for this segment the first time viewing it. The second time, it's funny because I couldn't even remember why I was upset the first time. But I still have I wouldn't say I'm so angry about it anymore because I can remember really not liking this segment. But I think the only nitpick I have is Chavo was a really stupid heel here. Like it's heel 101. You sucker the babyface in with your full apology, make it seem like you're gonna reconcile, and then you get the weapon and attack. Here he was all over the lot. I'm gonna start with the full apology. Then I'm going to reveal my true intentions while putting on the nux. It's like, man, Chavo, your execution's awful. But I think my original gripe had to do more with Blue Demon Jr. and how he got his comeuppance. But honestly, looking back at it, that was fine. It was straightforward. It was using the chair again, which was just such a central theme. So I really appreciate the storytelling upon a second time viewing. Yeah, if I had any nitpick now, I'd be like, Chavo, man, you are such a dumbass.
He's not the sharpest tool in the shed, is
No, he certainly isn't.
he? Up next, we had King Cuerno versus Drago, double count out. So this was the one where Drago did the splash off Cuerno's office onto Cuerno, who was set up on a table and did just basically a face plant.
Yeah, nothing really to say here. They fought a war, ended in a double countout, and we know where that leads to, and we'll get to that a little later. So good stuff.
Next, we had a Phoenix video package that I thought was really well done. I never really noticed the kind of language that they were using until it was too late, and they were already kind of shoving it in our faces that it was the 1,000 lives versus the 1,000 deaths, and way too far into the season for me to have picked up on it. But there was a lot of when a phoenix falls, it will always rise again. When it's weakened, it gets stronger. And then they even said in this video package that if you try to destroy a phoenix, his return will be your end.
Yeah. So
So Mil Muertes has got it coming, man.
He does, and could the next Lucha Underground World Champion be Phoenix? Now, here's the
I
thing. To
want
me,
Phoenix to have almost like a Drago-esque wardrobe upgrade. Like I want him to get wings. I want him to get maybe like a full-on freaking intimidating looking creepy like Argentavis style bird head that he could wear over his mask and take off before the match. Like I want the full-on just the full package for Phoenix.
and you know they can do it too.
Well,
Uh,
we got it with Drago. We have headdresses with Cuerno and Puma towards the later part of the season, and yeah, we know that they have the ability to do it. It's just a matter of if they think that it fits the character.
Yeah, and I certainly think it would fit Phoenix's character. Like that you remembered the ending line there and you made note of it because it does make me think. Yeah, logic says that Phoenix will be the end of Mil Muertes' title reign, but then again, that's just my logic, and Lucha Underground has laughed at that more times than I care to count. So we'll wait and see what happens in season 2 if Netflix has the foresight to pick it up, which I'm confident they will. Netflix needs Lucha. So anything
That's
else you want
right.
to
We forgot to plug that. Hashtag Netflix needs Lucha. People, get on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, guys, I just got to say real quick before we move on to the main event that I did talk to a customer representative at Netflix recently. I had a chat with them. They're very nice. Their customer service is excellent. If you want to go to them, whether you have a Netflix account or not, and express interest in Lucha Underground, they love that stuff.
How
And the
would you do
first
that? How would you go about doing that, John? Give our folks at home a little bit of. Don't go like step by step like Michael Cole. Just kind of give them a brief kind of overview on how to do it.
Well, I think the contact us form is pretty easily
So it's
navigated
just
on the
you go to
Netflix thing.
netflix.com and click contact us.
Exactly, and it should be part of the contact us menu. You find live customer support and you talk to them. The lady I talked to, I just want to make note, guys, was actually well aware of the Netflix Needs Lucha campaign, so you are being heard. Netflix is aware. But if you want to go direct to the source, I found it to be very effective, a very great talk, and it seemed promising as well. So we've got Steve.
Especially if you just come right out and say, I am not a paying Netflix customer right now, but if you pick up Lucha Underground, I would be. Like that right there, telling them that them picking this up would put money in their pockets is how you're going to sway them.
Which is exactly what I did. And guys, if you're in the same boat as me where you don't have a Netflix subscription yet, you go there and you tell them that because we definitely have Steam, but we got to keep it going because I'm telling you, just going back over these episodes and going back over this season, we all know how great a product this is, and I think Netflix, given shows that they have like Daredevil, Sense8, like Lucha Underground fits perfectly with the aesthetic that Netflix has really established recently.
I
It's
mean,
the
even if
perfect
you want to go
place
to
to
like
have it.
Orange is the New Black, I mean, granted that show has a lot more comedy than
Yeah,
Lucha, but still, you're talking about the aesthetic, very similar aesthetics even.
Yeah, certainly. So, I mean, let's keep the ball moving, guys. But anyway, with that said, I agree with you, Ashton. This video package was great. And what came after this?
After the Phoenix thing was the Phoenix match. It was Phoenix versus Puma. It was a solid match, but it was what was really cool to me was that even though I knew, having seen the entire first season, that Puma was retaining, I still managed to get invested, and I even jumped a few times on some Phoenix near falls.
Yes, this match was great at really, dictating that pace, raising that tension. The only two notes I really care to make, because like you, it's an excellent match. It's really hard to articulate matches like this for Lucha Underground. You have to really see it to really know it.
Right.
But the two things I want to comment on, I love the power game from Puma between the bear hug kind of suplex and then that delayed vertical suplex. That was a really cool moment. And then I loved how they really went out of their way to protect Phoenix in
Yeah.
the finish because he scales the ropes and he gets caught with a kick to the head. So really, it came down to Phoenix made one mistake. That was it, and then he gets hit with the 630. So really, throughout this whole season, they gave Phoenix great coverage. Hell, I even forgot to mention in Aztec Warfare, he was one of the people eliminated by Chavo Guerrero's steel chair massacre. So they really make it seem like Phoenix is as tough as they come, and that's a sentiment that only grows throughout the season, which we'll give our coverage to in later episodes. So yeah, I really love that they gave him that protection, and it was a great first title defense for Puma.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's crazy too because it was 1 week after he won the title.
Absolutely, man.
This is the first time we've even seen him with the championship, and already he's defending it.
Crazy to think about. I mean, Matt Striker even made it on a commentary. I don't think it was this night. I think it was in the last episode that we'll cover in this set. But he says, we're not the traditional, defend every 30 days kind of thing. None of that crap here. And Puma really exemplified that sentiment with his championship reign.
Yep, absolutely. Next, though, post match, Cage comes out and just destroys Prince Puma.
Love it. This was the night, at least initially, that he became a real impact player and quite a
It's also
legitimate.
his debut. Like he debuted earlier tonight, and now like on the same episode he attacks Puma.
I remember us having a big conversation. I don't know if it was like outside of Twitwow or within Twitwow or maybe even both because we were just so excited, about our surprise that Cage was being pushed this quickly. Like the same night he debuts, he guns for the champion. And looking back at it again and just knowing what we know about Cage, I love it. I still
Yeah,
think it's a really, smart move that they made, and just seeing the assault that he perpetrated, just fantastic. I mean, that's how you establish a heel straight away, and
yes. And I
great
was even
stuff.
just getting ready to say, like, I feel like I love how willing Lucha Underground is to give somebody just a green light, strap a rocket to their ass, and send them to the moon. Push, no hesitation, no. Yeah, you're gonna win some, but then you're gonna lose some kind of WWE BS. Just straight up, this guy's a freak. He is going to be a top guy. Push him to the moon.
Absolutely. They
That's what
didn't
they
want
did
to.
with Puma. That's what they did with Mill. That's what they're they admittedly they did kind of fall back a little bit on guys like Rick and Cage, but you can only have so many top heels in your company.
And I'm telling you, if they would decide to go with a Cage face turn for season 2, he'll be right back in the thick of it, guaranteed.
Exactly.
Because the way that man murders people is second to none. And yeah, just the way he ragdolled Puma was fantastic. And really, Ashton, the funny thing is, I think it was so smart to have Cage be the first really kind of semi-program for Puma here as champion, given how his season ended.
Yeah.
So they're already kind of prepping him for that type of opponent. And so it was really great for all parties involved.
And if you think about it in a roundabout way, they kind of bookended Ultima Lucha too, because Cage was the curtain jerker. If you look at the whole Ultima Lucha as a whole, the whole 3 hour kind of experience, Cage was the first match, Puma was the last match.
Yeah, crazy to think about.
Man, it's amazing to me that Lucha Underground has such like right down to the placement that they have on their cards. It's so I don't want to say not intentional. It's so
Thoughtful?
yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, they put a lot of thought into it, but that's not necessarily the word I was thinking of. Deliberate.
Right.
Deliberate is the word I was looking for. Yeah. So then we can get past this. Then episode 11. Immediately, we find out from commentary that we're going to get Drago versus King Cuerno in a last luchador standing match. But then we go to the ring and we get a tag team match. And it's Cortez Castro and Mr. Cisco versus Pimpinera Escarrata and Mascarita Sagrada.
Fun tag team match. I
It
mean, what can I
was.
say?
It was a
Yeah.
fun match, and that's the thing too. Is that like you see like the crew, and you see Pimpy and Mascarita, and all you can think of is, well, this is going to be awkward, and it was a little bit at first, but it really didn't take long to kick into another gear.
Certainly. Pimpinella I find very entertaining, when he is in the ring kind of doing his offense. The crew are a great team, love the low drop kicks, that kind of double team because they look so vicious. The double team finisher I'm also a big fan of. Yeah, these guys were ruthless, and I think this was a nice match to have to really put these guys back on the map after doing so poorly in Aztec Warfare. And commentary even made a note of that, saying that they didn't bring the gold home. Cueto had to be disappointed. So how do you reestablish these guys in a major way? Well, you take out two people that Cueto has a very out disdain for in the temple. So this was very smart to me.
Yeah, and you make a good point too, as far as their poor performance in Aztec Warfare. If I remember correctly, they were all three eliminated in the first like 5 or 6 eliminations.
Yeah, they came in quick succession to each other. So
Yeah, I know for a fact that Mr. Cisco was actually the first person eliminated in Aztec Warfare.
yeah,
So
so definitely establishes that ground for a rebound. As we'll see later in the season, I mean that's important for the crew because Cueto doesn't take kindly to failure at all. So
no, he doesn't.
no, he does not. So
Oh
so
man! But then up next though we had Pentagon Junior versus Superfly, and this right here was where Vampiro dropped a massive bomb of foreshadowing goodness.
yes, and I don't know if you and I are thinking of the same lines because I picked up on it too. I don't know how Stryker introduced it. I forget, But Vampiro responded. He probably asked him, like, what do you think Pentagon Jr. needs? Like, what do you think he's missing to get to that next level? And Vampiro pretty much replied, I don't know if he needs any guidance, if he needs to work out some stuff, I don't know. But you could say, like, he said it very thoughtfully,
Yeah,
almost like he's thinking, like,
Vampiro. Yeah, he said that Pentagon has all the talent, he has the aggressiveness, he has the ego, he has the arrogance. That's all there, and then he's a world class fighter, no doubt about it. And then he just said, I don't know if he's just got to put more time in or if he needs better guidance. I don't know.
yeah.
And
And
it seems like such just like a passing thing, but then like, oh my god, in hindsight, picking up on that, that's huge.
I love how, because you and I have had conversations about this before so many times concerning the WWE. I feel like commentary, at least in the WWE side of things, has become such a lost art, or maybe an evolved art would be the better word, so I don't seem so old, because you do have to promote a lot more now. It is more of an advertising thing now rather than telling stories. But the crazy thing about Lucha Underground commentary is that they've evolved in a completely different direction, because they're not just telling the stories in the ring. No, they're telling you the stories for the season, and you don't know it.
Yep.
So I really love that commentary for Lucha Underground serves as that kind of device, because man, have I been missing that. And really, I shouldn't even say missing it, because I don't even remember an announce team that really does anything like that.
Yep.
It's just, it's great. One Striker really works his kinks out, and you and I never really had any problems with Vampiro. My only problem with Vampiro was his hate boner for Conan, but then you kind of explained that to me. Yeah, just they're a great team, and it's just great to see commentary used as that kind of tool. It's so fresh.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's really really wonderful. But that's the thing too, is that even after the match, Pentagon gets on the mic and says, "I thought Chavo was a legend, thought he could help me, but you know what? He's a fraud. I know that there's someone willing to join forces with me, someone willing to help me, because I am Pentagon Jr. y cero miedo."
Love it.
It was
Love it.
amazing. It's perfect. They're saying he's seeking a freaking mentor, man.
And this was the start of Pentagon Jr. becoming one of the best characters to me in Lucha Underground Season 1. I mean, my God. And really, thank you, Chavo, for cracking him in the skull with a chair, because no offense to Chavo, but if that tag team had kept going, I feel like it'd be far more boring than what we got, because what we got, holy amazeballs. And this is where it all started.
What
So,
we got was
amazing stuff.
greatness.
Yeah, it really was.
Whether it's the pairing itself or just the freaking match, man.
So good. So
Everything about that pairing ended up being great, yeah. All right, so up next we get Sexy Star versus El Mariachi Loco, and this I have a note in here. Even Striker was significantly better in this match.
yeah,
He
really
even
toned
just
down.
straight up said, because I think it might have been Vampiro saying something about pulling the hair to Mariachi Loco regarding Sexy Star. Striker just straight up said, "Yeah, man, but you got to throw the gender thing out the window. She signed up for this just like everybody else."
Love that.
Yes.
Yeah, this is probably the episode where Stryker really toned it down, got everything out of his system, and then did the job he was supposed to do.
Yeah.
What's funny to me is you'd think El Mariachi Loco, because Stryker gives him a bit of a backstory. You'd think he'd come into more matches as a babyface, because he says how he washed dishes and kind of worked at a restaurant just like 2 blocks away from the temple, and he
But you know what
collects
though,
tips.
John? The way that he was introduced, you got to remember, he was introduced as a Dario Cueto guy.
That's true. That's
And
true.
he also made it seem like a super like borderline racist stereotypical kind of thing where he was working a taco stand.
Yeah.
So he was working a taco stand, and his gimmick is that he's a mariachi player, and he was brought in by Cueto. Like everything about this dude's character says heel.
Yeah, absolutely. And they certainly have a little bit of fun with that, in this match, because there are times where it seems like El Mariachi Loco is taking 60 Star just a bit lightly. Finish comes when he misses a top rope senton, and Sexy Star gets like a back slap and then an inside cradle, and that's how she gets the win.
The
Um,
smallest of small packages.
yeah, and you,
This small package was so freaking tight. Like I don't know how anyone could kick out of that.
absolutely. And I forgave this, but you know how glad I am that she got the La Mystica armbar
Yeah.
for her finisher now, because my biggest critique of Sexy Stars is that everything's there. Lucha Underground could have such a progressive moment in a few seasons if they wanted to, making her the first female world champion of the promotion. I still believe they're going that route. That's one of my actually staunchest predictions of Lucha Underground, because I've been saying that for the longest time. But now that she
And you
has
know
the
what's
armbar,
really
she's
funny
going to
too
up.
is having watched Aztec Warfare, what I really noticed myself kind of seeing, I didn't realize it until she got injured and we didn't have her anymore, but I honestly, I think Eva Lise is the best female in this company.
I would agree with that. I think the biggest travesty to occur, if you want me to be honest with you, it is her injury during the Trios Tag Team title run, because I feel like if she wasn't injured, she could have really shown everybody what she can do in ring. And she even
Yeah.
still had some pivotal moments throughout the reign. I'm not trying to discredit her completely,
Oh no,
understand.
that's the thing though,
Um,
John, is that like even if you want to talk about her, climbing the ladder to win the ladder match that they had against the Crew and that kind of stuff, from what I understand, they actually had to cut that down pretty significantly in editing because she was in some legit pain and it hurt to climb the ladder.
right.
So it took her, like, allegedly, from what I read, it took her like 10 minutes to climb that ladder.
Wow.
Yeah.
But you know what? Kudos to her though for toughing it out, because I wouldn't have climbed that ladder at all.
No.
So that's my thing there. But I do agree with
And it's
you.
one of those things too where like it's not like they forced her to do it. Like they said, if you want to do this, it'll give you a hell of a lot of babyface shine, but you don't have to if you don't want to. And she was like, well, yeah, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Just putting the nose to the grindstone and doing the work. I'm telling and then that's the thing too. We look at Team Sitcom. We don't know what kind of season 2 they're gonna have. I'm putting all my stock in Sexy Star. I have from the very early episodes. Actually, I've been saying this. It's been a long time. Evil Lise could come up from behind, man, overtake everybody once she's healed. She has that
Definitely.
ability.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
she
so
is healed. She's healed by now.
yeah, so season 2 could be her season.
I
She'll
hope it
definitely.
is.
Yeah,
I hope it
yeah.
is because I mean, don't get me wrong, I do like Sexy Star's work, but I freaking love Eva Lise's work.
And I think Evil. Here's my thing too, and it's nothing against Sexy Star. Again, I'm the guy that's been espousing this forever now. I feel like Evil Lise, she can be that role model for women without explicitly coming out and saying it.
Yeah.
Because from the get go, Sexy Star is like, oh, I want to be this hero for women, and that's great. Like I love her story and everything. It's nothing against her, but Evil Lise just goes and she does it, man. She just lives her life. She just has that personality that I think people gravitate to. Like, yeah, that's a badass bitch, and like people love that shit. So I'm hoping it's hers too, man. I think it'd be a great way to go, but we'll see.
Definitely. All right. After this match, though, we get our main event: Drago versus Cuerno. Last luchador standing, and as everybody knows, while this was a great match, the ending involved King Cuerno basically hog tying Drago and holding him down to the apron from the outside.
Man, King Cuerno is so good.
Yeah.
Ashton, it's funny because I looked through the comments, I think, of our last episode of Lucha Underground Rewatch, episode 2, and I appreciate all the comments we get, guys. Keep them coming because you guys have some amazing insights. One of them being, I wish I could remember the user who said it, that King Cuerno did remind him a lot of Benoit. And obviously, you can tell with me, like, that hit me pretty hard, and I thought about it. And really looking at this match, I'm like, yeah, he does, actually. And it's really scary that I'm just now seeing it because somebody else said it. So crisp in that ring.
Did you say he's as crisp as Chris Benoit?
You know what? Yeah, I would actually. He's just so impressive. He did one impressive thing. It was kind of a variation of a chimera plex. We know a chimera plex to be two
The
Germans and a
half and
dragon.
half. Yeah.
Yeah, but here it was like two Germans and a brainbuster, and just man, King Cuerno is so good. And you saw it like before anybody, but like towards the end of the season, I'm like, I get it now, and I see it
The
every watch.
user who said that was Gooch203.
Gooch 203, you, sir, were on point, and my gratitude to you. But yeah, Cuerno's so good. And Drago, here's the thing, too. Don't want to take anything away from him. He can hang in there, despite being, like, what did we say? He's in his early 40s, maybe even mid 40s. Like,
Who?
Drago.
No,
I,
he's not even 40 yet. I think he's just 30.
I think, he is
He might
39,
be
right? Yeah.
exactly 40, but he's 39 or 40.
Okay, yeah, that's right. That's right. Because I remember, I think you and I had a conversation one day where we were going through all the ages of the luchadors, and I got them, I guess, mixed up.
Yeah,
But
he's
yeah,
40.
like he,
Just turned 40 last month.
Yeah, he hung in there, man. He had a great showing. Drago, again, I think he has the best look in the company, and yeah, this is a great feud. And just the imagery of him being hog-tied and then the headdress and everything, just being sacrificed was just fantastic. I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah, it was great. And not only was it great, but it was brutal, and it was great for Cuerno to get heel heat.
Yes,
And it
yes.
protected Drago because Drago didn't get knocked out that it kept him off his feet. He literally got held down.
That's right. He was physically restrained, and I think it was so smart giving Cuerno Drago as his first feud because one, it fits the animal theme obviously for the hunter, and two, by that point Drago had really endeared himself to the temple. So you're right about getting that heat, Ashton, because yeah, people are pissed. They're like, oh man, dragons are the most amazing thing ever, and this Cuerno's just coming in and ruining it for everybody. So it's fantastic all around.
And what's awesome too is that King Cuerno's younger. King Cuerno's only like 30 or 31 years old.
Oh my God, they've got so
Yeah.
much time to do so many amazing things with him. I can't wait.
So exciting.
Anything else you want to say about this match, brother?
No, let's move on to episode 12. We start things off with Cage doing curls in his gym slash locker room, which is, yes, it's both. Cueto walks in and just basically straight up gives him a title shot against Puma because he wants him to beat him.
Yeah, Cueto really had it out for Puma, early on in the season. I guess you could say he did for the whole season because he's a heel authority figure. And yeah, you just see Cage toning that tone, working out. It's just like, oh, you got your world title match, and Cage is like, yeah, that sounds about right. And
Yeah,
that's just pretty much it.
just in there getting his swole on.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh yeah, this arm just decreased by like 0.25%, so I just need to tone that back up. And I'm just like, what?
I feel like they used. Wasn't his nickname at one time the Swolverine?
Was it?
I'm pretty sure it was.
That's
Not in Lucha
hilarious.
Underground, but yeah, dude. He's even got a freaking Brian Cage when he was well, and I'm sure he still works indies, but when he was only working indies, he had a T-shirt that said the Swolverine, and it had his signature on it. So yeah, that's definitely a former nickname of his, which makes all the sense in the world because he's got like the Wolverine mutton chops, and he's gigantic.
He is. I'd give him a title shot. Wouldn't even have to earn it. I just look at the man. I'm like, you're going for the world title tonight so I can live. And then
Yep.
I walk out, and Guido probably had a
Yep.
similar idea. So, yeah.
Oh man, that's great. The
Oh man,
Wolverine. That's amazing.
that's hilarious.
So he gets his title shot for free just because he's amazing and he's impressive.
Exactly.
Up next, though, we started with Mil Muertes versus Phoenix, the second match that they had against each other. The first one, Mil won. This time, Phoenix actually picks up the win.
Yeah, caught Mil Muertes, and this is the beginning, if I'm not mistaken, Ashton, of just what would become, in my mind, the best feud of season one.
Well, in a
Yeah,
roundabout way, I would say the beginning was their match on episode 8
right. Yeah,
to determine who would be number 1 and who would be number 20 in Aztec Warfare.
but Phoenix catching Mil Muertes here. I mean, it was a great matchup. Mil, of course, imposing his will and everything, but Phoenix having to fight, from the ground up and things like that. And then when he gets the whole pinning combination on Mil, catches Mil by surprise, he's incensed. And it's just like, man, Mil Muertes is beatable, which Katrina was probably looking at ringside and just thinking, oh, no, no, no. That's got to change. And then we just began the whole epic journey with these two that I can't wait to cover in future rewatch episodes.
Yeah, and another thing I love too is that Vampiro straight up says that she thinks that Katrina has an agenda and that she's controlling Mil Muertes. And that we see more and more evidence of that as time goes on in this season. She is straight up controlling him.
She's the real terror here.
She is.
Yeah. And I think, it's
Most
really
powerful woman in wrestling right now.
and we've said that before, and I think that's really exemplified by the final image of Ultima Lucha. You got Mil Muertes with the world title, Disciples of Death with the trios tag titles, and Katrina just standing front and center with the stone.
She's the
stone
puppet master, man. She's the
Yeah,
puppet master. She controls everything.
absolutely, man. Terrifying.
Amazing.
Yeah, man.
So, and throughout this match also, there was a lot of emphasis on Phoenix language, talking about how Phoenix has this never say die attitude, and he, no matter what you do, he always comes back for more, and he never says die, and he rise from the ashes and that kind of stuff. And that's why I'm saying, man, I want the wardrobe upgrade big time.
Oh, I hope it happens, man. I hope it happens. We'll see.
All right, up next we had a Cage video package. It was pretty much the one that we had already seen to hype him up, and it was the one where he got cracked in the back of the head with a bottle, which is telling because Mac tries to do that to him on Ultima Lucha Day 1.
Ah, good catch, good catch. Nicely done.
You don't
I,
remember that?
I don't remember that, no.
Yeah, dude. Do you remember when the Mac got the cooler?
Yeah.
He cracked Cage over the head with a glass bottle before he did that.
Ah,
He did that, and then he
wow.
grabbed the cooler, and that was when he did like the stunner, and he started chugging the beer and doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yep. Got to go back and check that out again. We will. We'll get around to it. Trust me.
Yeah, definitely, man.
Yeah, it was. I thought it was a cool throwback to the video package. But then up next, we had a second match of the night: Arhennis, Superfly, and Aerostar versus the Crew. I enjoyed this match. This was surprisingly enough, I'll say this was one of the matches that I didn't really think anything of, and it ended up being a really, really good match.
I remember when we did the Lucha Underground Twitwell for this episode where the six man was on. I said this 6-man match really surprised me because you don't think it's going to be as good as it turns out to be. And yeah, I think it really says something in a season where we have Aztec warfare, grave consequences, all night long, give to the gods, all that stuff.
That
But to me,
amazing cage match between Johnny Mundo and King Cuerno, which you still underrate.
but all of that, and yet this 6-man, I think, is still able to rise above and be able to stake its own claim as being a really excellent and fun match. And I think this match really legitimized the Crew because they went to distance, they went to war with the opposition, and they came out the victors. This was such a fun contest.
It was.
But the only thing even more amazing than that was the post match because I'm at the right episode. I am thinking right. Big Rick was
Yep.
at ringside. Then he comes in the ring, and he pretty much says, "I just wanted to let everyone, and by everyone I mean everyone."
Yep.
And he kind of looks at the crew. Know that I'm coming for the gold, and whoever is holding it. And then pretty much that, when he does, it'll be the age of Big Rick, and he goes to pose, and then comes the betrayal. And this was the moment that really revealed to me how much help I need with my inner sadist, because when they put his eye out with the cigar, I marked out and just thought it was amazing. I even chuckled a little bit. So there you go. It was amazing seeing it again, and knowing what Big Rick would become with the eye patch was just amazing. So
Actually, you know what, dude? I think that was on the last episode, on episode 11. I think that happened.
oh, am I jumping the
Yeah.
gun a little? Because I really thought
I
it was
think it
this
was.
match.
Yeah, I think it was when it was after the Castro Cisco Pimpy Mascarita match.
Yeah,
So we just accidentally skipped over it.
I guess so. Yeah, I really thought it was this one because then I remember the promo, well, the cinematic segment, I should say, after
Right.
the fact.
Right. Cueto.
Yeah, I apologize, guys. I jumped the gun, I guess,
Yeah,
but
I think it was around. It was on this episode that we did get that. So if you want to talk about that,
yeah, just saying that Big Rick couldn't see the value that all of us together, had to him,
and
and
now he's
now
not gonna see anything at all.
I chuckled a little. And then he's, paying off the crew. Crew pretty much promising Dario Cueto that they're going to do, a solid job. And, without Big Rick, and Big Rick, he was taken care of, fell like a ton of bricks. And, yeah, crew goes about their business. I loved it, man. It was great.
It was. It was really entertaining. I really enjoyed that. And this whole thing, like, you really kind of have to just kind of sit back and wonder, like, okay, so if Cueto hates Puma, why would he kind of call this hit for Big Rick if Big Rick is targeting Puma?
Yeah, that's right. That's a great point, actually.
Especially because then later on in the season, he tries to befriend Rick again.
Yeah, very confusing. I gotta say, like, I don't know if I was really entirely pleased with the resolution of all that,
Yeah.
but yeah, hey, you never know. Lucha Underground can always refamiliarize themselves with that territory, and that's the beautiful thing about Lucha Underground. A lot of stocks of guys that you think are either going to be really really big or just nothing at all, they oscillate so wildly that Big Rick kind of ended season one with kind of a whimper, at least in my view, given what he was doing prior, leading up to all this. Season two, he could be reestablished again and be right back in the limelight. You never know. That's just the beauty of this show.
Yeah. I think it was just Cueto wanting bodyguards, and he knew that if he would try and pay Rick, man, that's just a lot.
That's a hefty sum.
Yeah.
That's a hefty
It's like
sum for
he
sure.
he can get away with. It's like freaking outsourcing, man. He knows that he can get away with paying the crew less than he paid Rick, so he had them take out his former kind of hired help.
Yeah, and that's probably what he meant when he said the Big Rick couldn't see the value, because to Rick, all the value was the money.
Yeah.
And Cueto probably wanted him to see beyond that. He couldn't, so you get cut and just saves more money in my pocket.
I'm so
So,
glad that we were able to kind of figure that out here because I was actually getting really confused when I started thinking about it.
yeah, me too, man. Me too. So I'm glad we had that talk.
All right, so up next we had a Vampiro sit-down interview with Conan and Prince Puma. Again, Puma doesn't do any talking, and these guys just kind of talk.
Yeah, Conan pretty much saying, that Cage, never has been, never gonna be. Thought he was gonna make a name for himself at Puma's expense, jumping in from behind. I guarantee you, if Puma was ready, Cage would be in the hospital, and he'd still be in the hospital. Vampiro gets a little hot, saying, Conan, what are you doing? I'm talking to Puma here. This is his time, and you're constantly sticking your nose in his business. Unless, of course, champ, you got nothing to say for yourself. And Puma's about to interject again, and Conan, again steps in and says, hey, you got a problem with me. I don't remember asking your permission to get in my business or this and that. So, yeah, these guys confront each other face to face. Vampiro pretty much says, hey, anytime you want to do it, man. Anytime you want to do it. We've done it thousands of times. Let's do it one more time. And then that's pretty much how it breaks. So you can see the tension between Vampiro and Conan. Surprisingly, in hindsight, given how the rest of the season plays out, I guess Prince Puma really did need Conan, because I think it was in this segment, and he certainly said it on commentary, so one or the other, where Vampiro said, well, Prince Puma really doesn't need Conan. I'm not so sure about that anymore, and that could be an interesting story point for season 2, because, Conan gets taken out, and the first Puma match where Conan isn't by his side, or at least,
This is the title.
yeah, he loses the title. So,
Wow.
could be a very interesting story point for season 2.
Definitely.
Yeah, we'll see, man.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, Vampiro had to eat his foot on that one, I'll say.
You know what that's going to lead to, though, right?
What do you think?
Pentagon versus Puma.
Oh, please. Please, yes. I am so ready for that feud. I'm so ready for Pentagon to be in the world title picture,
Dude,
honestly, but I'm not going the age of death.
that feud in the ring combined with Conan and Vampiro going back at it on the mic. Are you kidding me?
I guarantee you either Pentagon and Puma's first match or their last match in their program will be a match of the year candidate. One or the other. Or maybe all of them. I don't freaking know. I just know those guys can tear the house down, and I want it now. So let's
And
do it.
what's really crazy too is that sure, we've seen Ricochet. We've seen Ricochet in all kinds of crazy high profile matches against everyone. Not necessarily Triple A though, and more specifically, I can't say I've ever seen him against Pentagon either, because Pentagon really wasn't getting any shape, form, or version of a push prior to Lucha Underground.
Right.
Because before Lucha Underground, he was doing nothing.
Yeah, and then Lucha Underground came and really raised his stock.
And literally, like a week or two after he debuted in Lucha Underground, he joined the biggest heel stable in Triple A.
Unbelievable. Lucha Underground innovators, everybody else imitators.
That's right.
Unbelievable.
That's right. And ladies and gentlemen, just to be clear, that's kind of why we didn't bother with Lucha or Triple Mania live reactions, and we aren't really going to be doing any Triple A kind of live reactions or anything like that from here on out. If they do another World Cup next year, we'll happily do that again because that was pretty much fun. But we just really aren't that into AAA, honestly. It's like we love the talents that AAA sent to Lucha Underground in Lucha Underground, but they're used differently in AAA, and there are different characters in AAA, and there's a lot of other stuff in AAA that we just plain out aren't fans of.
Yeah, I mean, he said it perfectly. I really got nothing to add. So if you want to move on, man, we can.
Up next, Cage versus Prince Puma, the main event. Not even really a full match. Cage ends up losing, gets himself disqualified, and then freaks out and rips the championship in half.
Yeah, I mean, that was another really iconic moment in the first season of Lucha Underground.
Yeah, like
Uh,
when you think of the first season, okay, so you think of Mil Muertes' resurrection, Cage ripping that title in half, Angelico's crazy dives off of Cueto's office, and maybe I can't even think of anything else. Maybe like Big Zeke with his or Big Rick, I should say, with his confession promo, which was incredible.
I was even gonna like for me it would be all the moments you mentioned, his eye getting burned out,
Right.
Chavo laying everybody out with chairs, and I'll admit this last one's a bit of a bias, but Puma and Mundo going off the band set into all those tables, because man, that
Oh
was
yeah,
oh man, it's so
that
good.
right there is your snapshot, people. Lucha Underground season 1 in a snapshot.
Oh, and the window spot with Patron, but mainly so I can just laugh all over again. But that again's just me. So.
I love that we went from a list that didn't involve Johnny Mundo to a list that involves Johnny Mundo twice.
And that list keeps the universe whole, if I say so myself. But
Keeps the
yeah, man,
universe whole and keeps you from throwing a hissy
exactly. See, so everybody wins. But in all seriousness, getting back to this match, I enjoyed it. I don't know, like I remember when we did the review. I don't know if I pointed this out as like a nitpick or a bit perplexed. I think I was just more perplexed. Like Cage had the wherewithal to throw the ref into the ropes when Puma was getting ready for the 6:30, and Puma was all tripped up. So I'm thinking, oh great, now Cage can capitalize, because I remember actually when we were watching this the first time, you and I were both actually. I think you even more than me actually we're really thinking like, could Cage actually win the title here? Are they going to push him like that insanely that he's going to have this meteoric rise to the title? And then as soon as he gets that little bit of an advantage, he's like, you know what? I'm over it. And he kicks Puma in the balls. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you have him there, hit Weapon X, do something. And yeah, he threw the match out. So I didn't really like how in the early episodes, I don't really know if that changed for the remainder of the season, but it really did seem like Cage fit that stereotype of the muscle-bound guy that doesn't fit. JBL had a phrase, $1 million body and nickel brain. And I feel like that was kind of the blueprint for Cage a little bit, at least for this first season. But, we'll see if that changes, going forward in season 2.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I definitely agree that this wasn't a smart thing for Cage to do, but it fits his character. He's just like this unchained monster.
Yeah, that's true. He won't be restrained. He will do whatever he wants to do. Hell, again, he's not a man. He's a machine.
He
You know,
has an attitude problem.
There you go. And it was exemplified when he took out Conan, which every time somebody took out Conan, I was so grateful. I'm like, good, put that guy in his place.
But
Uh,
Conan is the only reasonable one all season.
yeah, but he's also old and should know better. And if he's not going to learn it, he's going to be taught it. And that's what happens. Well,
Oh my god.
I've really gotten into my inner heel watching all this Lucha Underground. I quite enjoy it. But yeah, Cage desecrating the belt, which would give rise to the beautiful looking Lucha Underground Championship that would come. But yeah, just a great moment for Cage.
Yeah, I mean, I dug the championship as it was, but the new one's definitely way nicer.
Oh god, yeah, it's magnificent. It's actually probably one of my favorite world titles going. I'd say it's that and the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, because that belt is gorgeous.
You know what else I really like? That's really one of the only things that they actually got right is the TNA Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I was a
That
fan of the
image of
beginning.
EC3 holding it up after he won it for the first time, that title looks great.
It does. I'm a sucker for good championship belts. I mean, the WWE title. My favorite one was the one that JBL and Eddie Guerrero held. That was my favorite one there. Just I'm a sucker for world titles, and I'm just so glad Lucha Underground has one that really exemplifies what they're all about, man. Yeah, get after it. So good stuff.
Absolutely. We closed this set of tapings out though with Black Lotus confronting Dario Cueto about Matanza.
Yeah, I mean, she did one last scouting thing, if I'm not mistaken, during Aztec Warfare. That was the last time I think we saw her before
Yeah,
this.
and there was actually another segment in one of the episodes that we watched where someone was in Cueto's office and then they left. And I think it was Phoenix. I think it was the Phoenix thing in episode 10. And then the camera kind of zoomed out and found her and then zoomed in on her face and she was watching him from the hallway.
Ah, okay, okay. So yeah, it's all building up to this. She confronts Cueto. She says, pretty much, where is he? Like, I've come to collect a debt. And I love Cueto here because this is what makes him such a great character.
Here's his debts.
Yeah, he just looks on everyone's like, it can't be me. I always pay my debts. Just like, oh, Cueto. You just don't want to deal with anything at all, do you? And then he's like, well,
Would you?
you could. What was that, Ashton?
Would you?
No. Hell no. God no. And he's like, well, you're free to question my entire roster. Do you have a name? I only have one word, Matanza. And Kratos like, well, I don't know anybody by that name. I can assure you they're not here at my temple. And
Actually, what he said was, that word means nothing to me.
that word means nothing to me, which is quite ironic because that word would turn out to mean everything to Quato. But I don't
You know
think
what,
Black.
though, John? I have this weird hunch.
Yeah,
She said she didn't say she has one name. She said she has one word. What if Matanza was never meant to be a character's name?
maybe.
I feel like the only reason Lucha Underground used that name is because that's what people were referring to him as just because of this segment.
Right.
I don't know if they originally planned for his name to be Matanza.
That's an excellent point, Ashton. That's something I wish we could
Because
look into a bit
when
further.
I mean when Angela Fong or when Black Lotus says I only have one word, Matanza, it could just as easily be a threat because Matanza is actually Spanish for the word slaughter.
Ah.
So she could have just been saying, "I'll tell you who I freaking want. I want to slaughter this person." You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, I see what you mean, man. Yeah, very interesting second time around that you bring this up.
I mean, I
Um,
don't know. I might be jumping a gun. It might just be that because I mean, if you really kind of think about the context, she didn't speak in Spanish in any other way, so we don't even know if she knows Spanish. And you know, just kind of taken out of context, I think that this could have meant something else.
yeah, I mean, dude, that's the thing that you and I got educated in very well this first season. Always look beyond the layers with Lucha Underground. Just keep peeling them back, and more truth will be discovered.
Yeah,
Nothing is as
I've
it
always been
seems.
somebody that likes to overthink everything, and Lucha Underground just opened the doors and said, "You want to overthink, bud? Here you go."
Yeah, for people like you and I, dude, Lucha Underground is just the best kind of enabler out there. It's like, oh, you want to do all this? Yeah, have fun with this ball of yarn that we call our storylines, and then you just try and figure it all out, and you
And you
can't.
fail. Yeah.
I mean, you think you can. You go home to your wife, you're so proud of yourself. You're like, honey, I figured the storyline out, and then when you watch the episode together and you're proven wrong, she doesn't even look you in the face. She just
Honey,
goes
I
back
think
to
I
crocheting.
understand it. I think it's going to end up being Conan. Conan is Pentagon's master. And Vampiro.
Exactly, and then she just goes back to crocheting, not even saying a word, and divorce is inevitable. Not that I'm speaking from experience, though. I'm totally happy for whatever Emma's doing. Why won't you return my calls? Sorry,
Wait,
sorry.
is this Adam Cole or Johnny Mundo?
Well, it was Emma actually, but
Oh,
yeah. Adam Cole really hasn't been responding to my Facebook messages either. I just feel like I've humiliated myself in front of everyone. So with that said, yeah, really fun experience. I love this show to death, guys. In all sincerity, I want to close out my portion of the talking here by stressing again, go to Netflix, go to the contact section, go to live customer support, go to the source directly. Tell them if you don't have a Netflix subscription, you'd buy one for Lucha Underground. If you do, just tell them, hey, I've been hearing about this Lucha Underground. I would love to have that in my queue as a subscriber. I will keep that subscription going if you bring that service. If you want to keep doing Twitter, that's great. They're aware of it, so that clearly has momentum. Any means you can think of to get the word out there that Lucha Underground needs a new home, and preferably Netflix, because I think that'd be the perfect marriage, you know, get it out there. This is such an amazing show, and taking this trip with Ashton again, I just want this show to go on forever. Like, I think Lucha
I
Underground,
want this show to have the kind of financial security that Raw has.
exactly. It's funny. I might be taking a leap here, Ashton, so forgive me if I'm
Sure.
committing hyperbole or whatever. But this is the best way I could articulate it because I really appreciated old school ECW, like going back the history of it. I have the book on it, Rise and Fall of ECW. And everybody always used to say that a wrestling promotion would have been unstoppable if you had Vince McMahon's finances and Paul Heyman's creative genius.
Yeah.
You know, Lucha Underground has the favor of El Rey Network. El Rey loves Lucha Underground. They need that platform. They need that platform. They need just that extra little push in finances, and they've got the creative genius with the way they tell stories. This is our chance to find out. This is our chance to find out how a promotion would have turned out had it had everything it needed to go up against the monster known as WWE. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be a direct competitor, even though Alberto El Patron's confident in the next 5 years it'll be the number 2 promotion. I want to prove him right. I want to validate that confidence. Because me and Ashton, yeah, the last Raw we did for the year, it was an okay Raw, but there is no such thing, at least right now, as an okay Lucha Underground.
I
And
mean, there is, but even the most average episode of Lucha Underground is a million times better than a great Raw.
that's just it, Ashton. That's what I'm trying to articulate. Thank you. Thank you. And,
That's the thing, like John. I think what you're trying to articulate is this past episode of Raw was a good episode of Raw on the
yeah,
grand scale of Raws that we've seen. Like it was one of the best episodes of the year, I would even say, and yet I would still rather watch 3 straight episodes of Lucha Underground than that one episode of Raw.
look, the only concern I have, guys, if I'm shooting straight with you, about Lucha Underground getting on a platform like Netflix is I would be so tempted to just binge watch the entire season in one night. Because Netflix is known to just release whole seasons worth at one time. They've done it with Orange is the New Black, Daredevil, all those shows. And if they did it with Lucha Underground, I'd look at Ashton and be like, do we have to stop? And he'd probably look at me and say the same thing. My self-restraint is the biggest concern I'd have about this marriage. I want it to happen. I want them to come together and to keep producing this content because there is nothing else like it. They're changing the game, and we're a part of it. We're at the ground level here, and we can all say that. So please, any means you can, go out, show your support. I went to customer support. Ashton's been tweeting his ass off with it. Whatever method works for you, as long as you show your support, man, even if it's buying a t-shirt and you're just like, John, that's the best I can do, that's okay because we know you're there. Solidarity is key, people. Let's get it done, man. Let's get it done.
Netflix would actually be cheaper than the T-shirt.
Yeah, really. Netflix would be cheaper. I think you've even said multiple times, actually, that Netflix is cheaper than WWE Network, right?
Yeah, for Netflix, if you just want to get the streaming service on Netflix, where you don't need to get like the physical DVD copies, it's $7.99 a month.
That's a great deal. I mean, for Lucha Underground, seriously, I do it. I'm waiting for them to get confirmed so I can do it because I've talked to my family multiple times. I'm like, we're doing this, and yeah, it's. I just really hope it happens. It seems like it's going to, but I mean, we shouldn't rest on our laurels even if we get good news. Keep pushing through till the end. I don't want any of us getting comfortable. Do what you can. So that's all I'm asking.
Absolutely, that's what it's all about, people. It's all about just getting out there and trying to get Lucha Underground more recognition. I have a Lucha Underground T-shirt that I wear at least twice a week, and yes, I do laundry in between, so you don't have to worry about that. And I have a Lucha Underground bumper sticker on my car.
That's amazing. See, folks, that's promotion right there. But yeah, I mean that was the best thing I could think to do was go to Netflix directly. I understand everybody's gonna have different means to do things, but if you love this and even just want to let one person know about it, that's more than a lot of people can say. So any part you can do, please do it because this is an amazing product and I want the best for everybody involved.
Absolutely. That being said, though, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to call it an episode. We will see you again for our NXT review tonight, or if you're only here for Lucha, we'll see you again next week, next Wednesday, for episode 4 of Lucha Rewatch. Thanks for watching.